Namaste. Good afternoon and welcome to our continuing series, The Ideal of Human Unity, with our beloved Kittu Reddy. Namaste. So today we're on chapter 19.
So in the previous chapter, Aurobindo is spoken of the ideal solution, where all nations are free. There might be a world state, but no question of imposition. Harmony without imposed discipline.
So a world state is possible.
A world state is not possible, it is inevitable.
Inevitable. Okay.
As he says at the end, but the question is whether it will be a world union or a world state. I mean, the state, will it have the quality of a union which is natural and spontaneous, or which is under compulsion? The world state has to be there because to solve the problems, you have to have an organization. But man being what he is, not only in the mass, but also, I will say, among the leaders, it is very few who can say that they have risen to a higher consciousness. So the only system that is at their disposal is the method, the instrument is the reason. And reason means always creating a system. Otherwise, the subjective element enters. So, that is why. So, reason. Now we are proceeding on this basis that now we have to organize the whole thing by reason, a world union based on reason, which means creating a system. And that inevitably means two things: centralization, and when there is centralization, inevitably what follows is uniformity. Because if it is not uniform, I mean more or less uniform, unless you state very clearly that in this case we'll have this, in this case we'll have that, but once you have fixed up, there cannot be any deviation. See, that is why the quotes come up. And every time the quote comes up, well, you might not agree with what the quotes say, but it is a final decision. After that, there is no question of, like the whole case of Ayodhya, Supreme Court has gone in favor of building a temple there. Certainly, a section of the Muslims are not happy at all. It is impossible to keep everybody happy. But then it is final. Oh, that is a great advantage. So, as he says, inevitably there will be centralization, which will be followed by some kind of uniformity. Now, this centralization and this uniformity by the government. Now, what are the powers of the government? First is legislative. They have to make the laws. Without laws, no country can run. Formerly, the king or the powers that be could make the laws according to their wishes, fancies, or whims. Today, in the so-called democratic system, all laws are made by Parliament. I mean, for the national laws, what you do at home or what you do in a small institution is another thing. And the second thing is that all these legislators who are sitting and making the laws there are elected by the people. This brings in an element of accountability, because you want to win back again. And every time you come to your constituency, will be asked questions. And today, in the last few days, the Supreme Court has passed an order. It is radical.
It is.
Even the Supreme Court Chief Justice is accountable. I can ask a question to him on the right to information and he has to give an answer. And his answer was that we are also functioning in the public and therefore there has to be total transparency. Why I have made this judgment. All these years, as a legacy of the British rule, you could not ask them. But now you are compelled to ask. I mean, you have every right to ask.
Yes, yes.
And, whatever judgment he makes, right, you can ask him. He'll have to give you an answer either on Twitter or on whatever it is. But transparency and accountability have become very, very fundamental to the running of a democracy.
What about in America?
What about?
In the US?
I really don't know because I'm not following
follow
that closely. But that you will have to answer better.
Yes, okay. But in India, one can see this very clearly.
Very clearly, moving in that line, right?
Yes.
There are different laws for different areas, but there is uniformity within those laws, all governed by the center. And the center means the legislators, out of whom again the cabinet and the prime minister are chosen, but that can be continually changed and they are answerable. That is the most important thing. The most important thing is that they are answerable. But then he has to create a system.
And in previous 50 years, they were not answerable.
I won't say they were not answerable, but they were not as much answerable as they are today.
Okay.
It is increasing. Because no democracy is possible without being answerable to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But today, even the Supreme Court judge is under scrutiny. Before, not that he will change his judgment, but he will have to give an explanation. So they will think 500 times before making a judgment. Naturally, because they have to answer afterwards.
Surely.
Not only to the institutions, but also to the people at large. So that's a very major step forward. But whatever it is, the important thing is centralization and uniformity. Because centralization will mean automatically uniformity. Because if there is a kind of departure, then they will go to court, and then 99% the court will not allow you to, make subjective judgments. So it is hardly possible. So what he is trying to say is here that centralization and uniformity, and here he has put a title, Administration and Control of Foreign Affairs. I'll come to that gradually. So as I said, governance means legislation, making the laws for the country. Then administration, which depends on the bureaucrats and the officers who are below the members of parliament. Then after that there is balancing the economic situation and financial situation. And since there are so many parties, managing the political situation also. And certainly the military, which is the most important, and which has to be totally united. United among themselves, that means the chief of army staff is the boss complete, But the Chief of Army Staff will not take one step and cannot take one step in most democratic developed countries except with the permission of the political head.
Yes.
In America, in India, one of the few exceptions is Pakistan,
Yes.
where theoretically they say that, but it is actually the army that is ruling. So the army, all these have to be under the political control and completely centralized. And probably this is the first time, or one of the first times, when such a major step has been taken, that the army has been given a free hand. All that they have to do is to inform the political head that we are taking up this action, which is very strong. We are entering into Pakistan, we are blasting them out completely. And then, if he gives permission, which is 99%, he gives permission now, Narendra Modi, and they do that. And in fact, in the last operation that took place in a place called Balakot, where because the Pakistanis were sending terrorists, they sent and bombarded the whole thing, killed some 289 people, destroyed the whole thing. And it seems that the Prime Minister was sitting in the operation room at 3 o'clock in the morning. It took exactly half an hour. In half an hour, the whole thing was finished. But even then, complete centralization, the army is totally centralized from top to bottom.
This may be a little aside, but what is the concern about Pakistan's nuclear arsenal?
So very clearly our commentators, very senior commentators, very close to the ministry have said, we are perfectly aware of what Pakistan nuclear power can do. They might use it in a place where we are not expecting. We will certainly lose something, but Pakistan will not exist anymore. They will be finished. There is no question of talk as long as they continue sending terrorists. We cannot have talks and terrorism at the same time. And today, very fortunately for India, terrorism is not an Indian problem. It is not a local problem. It's a problem all over Europe, all over the world.
Yes.
America is a little fortunate because of the distance of the two seas, the two oceans that have separated them. But they also have to be very careful.
Yes.
And Europe, I would like to send you, I don't know if I've sent you already, a talk, very interesting talk, by a former ambassador to Lithuania and all those countries, and now advisor to the government of India.
Oh.
His name is Deepak Vora.
Well, I would like to receive that.
He's a magnificent, wonderful talker and absolutely Indian, not in the narrow way, wide, understanding Indian. Shall I speak about that a little bit?
Surely.
It's very interesting. After saying a few humorous things, like for example, the Japanese are very underpopulated. So he says, look, I think we can teach them technology, how to make more and more children and increase the population. Then he says, now let's see the next thing. Look at Europe. No, look at the United States. Medium age is 40. Russia, 38. Or it could be the reverse. Can you imagine that when you're the middle age, I mean the age of the average age is 40 and 38, I mean the scope for progress is reducing like anything. And Trump has understood this. And now he's looking inward and he is trying to correct that, which is a good sign. Because unless you reduce that, and he says you just wait for 2 years, India will be the youngest country in the world. Because more than 60% of Indians are below 30-35 years old. Tremendous future ahead.
Yes.
Right? He says this is a sign of tremendous positive progress. That's why the time for India has come, written by an American. Now is the time for India. I don't remember the exact title. And India will move on and on and on and on. And he says, look at the rate of growth that we are having. 70 years back, we had 7 or 8% literacy. 2018, we have 82% literacy. 2022, 100% literacy. Don't worry about what is being taught in the school, whether the standards are high or not, but the very fact there are so many schools is a gigantic thing. And this is all because of centralization. He has imposed on the people. And the people are very happy.
Yes.
Because naturally it is. So he has been very successful from that point of view. And the second thing that he said, very interesting, he said we have a billion population, a little more than a billion. And do you know that we have a billion smartphones? A cell phone, smartphone, 1 billion smartphones in the world are there in this country. So you see, look at the gigantic progress that we are making, right? From almost, and everybody has got a smartphone. So he says that, and then for food, we've got McDonald's, we've got pizza, we've got this and we've got that. McDonald's food is there, but it is rubbish. Don't eat it. If you want to eat, go to the Dabbawala. He is the best food that you will get. It simple, typically Indian. So you see, it's very interesting that I'll send you that thing.
Good.
Right away. If I have not yet sent it to you. Anyway, I'll send it again, all over again. So what I'm trying to say is that governance has to be centralized. And there has to be a certain amount of uniformity. That means that if the government is wise and well-intentioned at the top, it can do a lot of things.
Yes.
It can really be very, but if you decentralize the whole thing, right, then there is a danger that there can be all kinds of, and that is the charge which was given all these years against the previous government, that all this corruption took place because it was centralized in somebody who officially did not have power. And that is why he or she could, take away as much money as possible. Because when you are not responsible, when you are not accountable, I can do whatever I like.
Sure.
But today, that is gone.
What about groups who want to secede from the nation?
As far as I know, there is not even one that wants to really secede. All that they want is either politically they want to create some trouble for Narendra Modi, or they want a little more autonomy. Because you see, the government has got central rules which are applicable all over the country. Every state has got its own rules also, own laws by which it governs its own country. And there is another which is in the middle, which is called concurrent law, which is applied both to the center and the state, and if there is a conflict, the center can intervene and completely put the whole thing under your control. So that is called concurrent law. Very rarely is it used, but sometimes it is done. It has been done in the past by some prime ministers. They have dismissed certain governments for political reasons and sometimes for genuine reasons also. So all this demands centralization. That is the main thing that I am trying to come to. That without that centralization, if there is pulls, right, from all directions, you can't be decisive.
Yeah.
You have to be organized and centralized. And that is where I am saying that will lead to uniformity. That can be changed also by the parliament itself. The parliament can, once in 4 years or 5 years, in America 4, England 4, India 5, change the people whom you are electing and who can do the necessary process. So as I said, there is legislative, there is administrative, there is economic, political of course is there, and then there is the military. All these have to be under the control of that center, right? So this is a very important step forward towards the governance of the country. And naturally, we are using our reason for all this.
We're using
our reason.
Yes.
Because I have to explain everything to everybody.
Yes.
Right? And I would say that even the mother, with all the power in the hand, with all the respect that she commanded from all of us, very often she would explain why. Sometimes she would take decisions and not explain. If it is individual, she need not explain to others, only to me. But if it is a collective decision, she would always demand, she would always give an explanation and consult the people. I'll give you an example. There was a time when the school had over 800 students. Because mother once told Kirit Bhai that we must expand and expand. Now, I don't know what she meant by expand, but Kirit Bhai took it in the outer sense. And more, 800 students. Prananda said, I refuse to accept. So he accepted only a few hundred students in the playground. The rest had no playground. Nothing to do in the evening. So they had to make a group. It was called Group X.
Oh.
They used to play in the school courtyard, where it is now concrete, now it's lawn. It was a lawn there. They used to play there. But that is nothing compared to taking part in the physical education, naturally. So there was a lot of unhappiness.
What year, approximately?
Who?
What year was this?
This was, I can't remember.
But 50s or 60s?
No, not 50s. 60s, when mother was already upstairs. Before 73.
Okay.
So then mother said, yes, I agree. What Pranab says is reasonable. Can't have too many students because you can't give individual attention. You can't do the work that we are doing. So mother was asked, what is the number? Mother said, no, I won't give an answer like that. Every teacher or many teachers have to give me the number that they can handle.
Oh.
And for each subject. Say, for example, mathematics, I would tell 14 or 15. Since I was teaching English or history, I would tell mother only 10. So she got all those figures. She made an average of all that. I mean, someone made it for her. And she said, the calculation came up to 600 students. Mother said, no, I would prefer a little less, 550. So slowly we had to, start reducing. Then mother left the body. And then we said straight away, not even 500, we have to come to 400. Because we don't have that authority which the mother had. So Pranada reduced the number to around 400, 403, 404, and the school also agreed because we are giving them individual attention. Right? But the ashram is very centralized from the point of view of organization. From the individual point of view of spiritual growth, it's complete liberty. Each one can go to samadhi as and when he likes and need not go. Each one can progress according to his own individual pace and all that. Collective life, dining room, fixed times. Everything absolutely worked out. Laundry, for us it is Tuesday and Friday. If Tuesday happens to be a holiday, then I have to wait for next Tuesday. There is nothing in between, right? So either you have to use a washing machine at home, but then ironing again is a problem. Anyway, point is that it is highly organized. And because it is highly organized, it is running very well. Whatever problems there might be, there are problems. We can't pretend that there are not, but that doesn't matter. It's very organized. And now when it is organized and centralized, and when there is the right to information, the man at the center becomes very important. Because if he is somewhat twisted, he can take all kinds of decisions, right?
Yes.
If he is somewhat working for the good, he can take all kinds of decisions which are for the good of the country. So again, centralization, which will lead to uniformity, has got dangers and very serious consequences if the man at the top is not of a slightly higher consciousness, which means that at least he thinks in terms of the whole collectivity and not only a small group or a small section or arbitrary decisions.
So back to your ashram example, here we have a group of trustees.
We have a group of trustees and they follow very closely what Manojda is saying. Because Manojda has got this advantage. He came here in 1940s, early 40s. He has seen the mother, he was close to the mother also.
Yes.
He has grown up here.
Yes.
He is 85 years old now.
Is he 85 now?
Yes. So you see, people respect him because of his age, his proximity to mother. Whether he is using his power rightly or wrongly, that there is a matter of opinion. Some people are not happy, some people are happy, but he listens to everybody. And he takes decisions. So many things are happening, and because he takes decisions or he doesn't take a decision, because not taking a decision is also a decision, right?
Yes.
People can be unhappy. So there are people who are unhappy, there are people who are happy. I am not concerned at all. As long as it doesn't affect me directly, I don't look at what is happening in the ashram. Sometimes people inform me, I listen very quietly. But otherwise I don't want to get involved into all this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that if I was in that position, it would be tough. It is not so easy as it looks. Right?
Yes, very true.
So,
very true.
So that is why I have a lot of sympathy for these people. But they have to face their own problems, and as it is said that there is something called karma. If you do wrong things, ultimately there will be a consequence. If you do right things, there will be a very good consequence. So the main idea is here centralization and uniformity. And then there is an important idea here, administration of control of foreign affairs. Internally, we can have sharp differences. We will sort it out by discussion, by some method or the other. But when India is dealing with the United States, with England, with France, we cannot have difference of opinion. One state will have a relationship with one country, the center will have an opposite relationship. That is impossible. So foreign affairs have to be completely centralized. The center, the cabinet, the foreign minister will decide what we have to do with that country, export, import, trade, everything, right? And then everybody has to agree. That is why he has put here administration and control of foreign affairs. Because we can't have Tamil Nadu dealing with Bengal, with America in one way, center dealing with America in another way, right? That problem is there to a certain extent in South India because of our involvement in Sri Lanka. When Rajiv Gandhi got involved in Sri Lanka by sending a few thousand troops, see, all these people who went there, right, were Tamilians.
Yes.
And we went to fight for the Tamilians, right? But we went there and evidently we did not play our role as well as we should have played. The result is that we became the enemy of the Tamilians there as well as the enemy of the local people there. So we had to withdraw. So you see, that is why when you interfere in another country's affairs, you have to first bring about unanimity in your country. And in this case, we should have got the Tamilians completely on our side. And if they agreed entirely with us, lay down the policy with their involvement, then you can work. So that problem will be there in all border states, West Bengal and East Bengal. Gujarat, Pakistan, Rajasthan, Pakistan, Punjab, Pakistan, Kashmir, Pakistan. So this is a very important thing, and there has to be centralization. Gujarat can't have a different relationship with Pakistan than the center. We have to be unified in our approach, right? For everything, for trade, for this, for that, for cricket match. There are some people who say cricket has nothing to do with politics. We go to Pakistan and play cricket. But they will go on killing our people. So we have said nothing doing. No cricket until the terrorism stops. If terrorism stops, talks will start, cricket will start, everything will start. So here there has to be a uniform policy. Unfortunately, and it is natural, I won't say unfortunately, naturally I would say, there are a few who would like to separating cricket from politics. But today I think you can't separate politics from anything. Everything is now, in some way or the other, involved with politics.
In America, Jimmy Carter.
What?
In America, Jimmy Carter banned us going to Olympics.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
That's why once the Olympics had to be.
Yes. In Russia.
Right.
Russia.
It was to be Los Angeles, no? The Olympics were to be Los Angeles?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
That's still a question whether that was a good move or not. I don't know. And the Olympics are a world nation.
Yes, and then also it is not between a few nations. It's a world affair.
Yes.
So that should be allowed to continue.
Exactly, yes. Yes.
You see, for example, today Narendra Modi has gone to Brazil. Because we have created a group called BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. See, China is not seeing eye to eye with us in many things. Brazil, very good. Russia, very good. South Africa, very good. But still we go there. We meet all together. we try to come to some kind of dialogue and arrangement.
Yes.
And even the Chinese have realized, or seem to have realized, that they don't want to have war with India. Too big a country. And secondly, their trade with us is very good. Chinese goods are selling like anything here and quite cheap. Now they will lose the moment. Already we have started cutting down the Chinese goods, but that will take a decade at least. It will take some time. But even then, the Chinese themselves don't want to accelerate the process. Then there will be an equal trade relationships. So that is a inevitable move. And now you see again it is centralization. If the center gives the order, don't buy Chinese goods, little by little, they will buy somehow or the other, you can always buy. But it will get lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser. And then there is a punishment for that. So if there is if they know that they are watched, so they are caught. And today everybody is watched. Because wherever you go, there is a camera.
Yes.
All the streets, all the hotels, most of the shops.
Yes.
So there is a kind of centralized control. So the basic idea is that centralization, which leads to uniformity, will give the courts a right place. And the courts have to decide. The courts have done a very good thing in India, yes, that we also are going to be transparent. And we are questionable. You can question us for everything. And that's, I think, a very major democratic step forward.
Definitely.
And this has been done by the Chief Justice himself.
Oh,
He took the initiative.
I see.
And he was supported by the next Chief Justice. So he's retiring on the 18th. The next Chief Justice is coming on the 19th. In these few days, he has passed 3 or 4 huge judgments. One is Ayodhya.
Yes.
There again, there is a question of faith. And he said, I have every reason to believe that almost all the Hindus in India believe that Ram was born in Ayodhya and this is the place where Ayodhya is. I cannot disregard faith when it is in such large numbers. Millions and millions, almost 1 billion. So I will allow them to build a temple. It is looked upon as a victory for Hindus, but I say no, it's a victory for India. And the majority of Muslims have accepted that.
Oh,
The small minority is making a lot of noise. In addition, they have given them 5 acres where they can build a mosque just outside that 67 acres. So the government of India has decided to set up a trust to build a temple, which will take 2 years, and give them a land where they can build a mosque. 5 acres, enough place for a mosque, where people can go and worship. Of course, there are the hard-boiled people. That is inevitable in any decision.
sure.
So this is the main idea of this chapter. Then the series starts. I think immediately after this, there is legislative and social centralization. See, the legislative means the laws. You have to have more or less uniform laws all over the country. I'll give you an example. The railways, it's a gigantic organization. I think it is one of the biggest in the world. There everything is centralized. Catering also was centralized. You know what is catering? I want to eat food.
Yeah, sure.
So you can't, if it is a long journey, you don't carry, you carry the first meal. The second, third, fourth, fifth meal, you have to, that also was centralized. So if you are coming to South India, one whole day you will get only South Indian food. Because here it is centralized. Government of India has decentralized it.
Decentralized.
How? You can telephone or message or WhatsApp that 3 stations ahead, I'll be reaching there, say, after 6 hours. I am from North India. I would like to have chapati, dal, and 2 vegetables. You will not get South Indian food, you will get their food. So, similarly, a South Indian, when he goes to North India, he can say, I don't want your chapati in that, but I want your idli and dosa and whatever it is. So, this is decentralization, but railways you can't decentralize. It's too big an organization. And so it is completely controlled.
Are the railways progressing with new trains?
Enormously. With the new minister, Piyush Goyal, they are trying to make it not more than 1 minute late. In Japan, you can set your watch according to the, right? But in India, and it is working in most states. Gradually it is working. See, it takes a long time because we are, by habit, a little indolent, a little lazy, a little slow. We don't make noise if the train is 15 minutes late.
Right.
You have to make a little noise.
Yes.
Then they will, right? Not violence, but some kind of protest. But now gradually it is coming up. But then there are elements in the country which are certainly not progressive. And the left group generally, by the very definition of the left group believes only in reason, and therefore they don't believe in God and faith and all that. So they are totally opposed to this Ayodhya decision. They don't believe in faith because they believe in reason. And they have a few universities in Delhi, in Bengal, where they are creating hell of a noise. I mean, they raise the hostel wages by a little bit. They made a lot of noise. They brought it down. Still they are not satisfied. They wanted some excuse, they have found it, and they're shouting, and now it's the police versus JNU. So this is the way things are moving along. But that is, I think, in every country, in every democratic country, this is bound to happen.
I think so.
More or less, right?
Yes, I think so.
And Narendra Modi, by winning the second time in consecutive and with a bigger vote, his enemies have become more aggressive because they are desperate. So these leftist groups are a little bit desperate. That is the whole process that is going on.
But you see a very positive India.
I see. I'll send you that thing.
Yes.
A very positive India. And the most important thing is the demography.
Yes.
Youngest population
Yes.
age in the world. Of course, not youngest. There are two. One is in, I think, Ghana and Niger. 16 years old. Their population. But what they do, but they are very backward.
Yes.
But India is moving at a tremendous rate.
Excellent.
And this gentleman has given a story which is very touching,
Who?
which I will send you that TV.
Oh, okay.
His son, before that, a gentleman went after the Kargil war or during the Kargil war and applied for joining the army. No legs, both legs gone. He said, they said, how can you? He said, look here, I've come here not to run, to fight. and I can fight with my hands. So take me there. I mean, that is the spirit. And that spirit is there now very much in the country. The country is very important. And another story of his son was fighting in the war, and the other side had huge ammunition. These people had only one tank and something else. They fought to the last, and he died. But before dying, he said he was very proud that he had given his life for his country, and he sent a message to his father that don't weep for me, don't cry for me. I have sacrificed my life for the country. I am very proud of that. Now, that is the spirit. And that is now developing a lot.
In young people?
In
the young people?
Like anything. They are critical of certain things. It is very healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But they are willing to move forward.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kittu.
So,